Okay, welcome everyone to the Matri Satsang of Anandamayi Ma. And let's think about what we're going to do. We're here to study the life and teachings of Sri Anandamayi Ma, who lived from 1896 to 1982 in this world in a physical body that we thought we saw. Although it was really her divine manifestation. And even though Ma is no longer in the body, she is even more available to us and more ready to hear our prayers in a moment. So I think our intention in this meeting is to study Ma's words, study Ma's life, look at different people's experiences with Ma so we can understand how she related to people, how people experienced her presence. So we can begin to tune into her presence more and more. Because as she says in the words we're going to read shortly, she's always with everyone. She's always with every one of us, but she wills through her grace to give her grace to certain people in this world at certain times to become aware of her. And we all have met that qualification only by her grace. We're all only aware of her because she became aware of us. So now the ball's kind of in our court, as the expression goes. That is, her grace is flowing to us always from her side. But in our side, we have to open the channel, unclog the channel. So I think this Matri Satsang is also not just reading about Ma's words, but also strengthening our connection with Ma. Because every time we think of Ma, the more we think of her, the more we pray to her, the more we say her name, the stronger our connection becomes with her. So we open up that channel so we can experience her more and more deeply and more real in a real way. So that's another part of this satsang is we're trying to draw on our capacity to open ourselves up to Ma and deepen our relationship with her, which we do every time we think of her. And it's so wonderful to think of her. She is the embodiment of just here and now divine consciousness. And we're in the day when our thoughts are engrossed in just little worldly things and we're all upset, that we just stop and just be in the present and say, Ma, oh Ma, Sharanam. And just think of Ma, she is the embodiment of that pure, sublime, infinite consciousness. So our mind immediately just expands and it draws us out of ourselves just to remember Ma. So here in the presence of her Paduka, with these beautiful flowers on them, she wore these sandals on her feet.
But not the flowers.
Not the flowers, okay. We begin this Matri Satsang. And I always appreciate your patience because the other direction we want to go, we want to, each of us through this satsang strengthen our connection to Ma and have her grace flow to us more freely. But also we want to have interaction between ourselves and community among ourselves as Ma's children. And since you've been doing this last few years on Zoom, it's really been wonderful. People are feeling a community, even though it's online. And many people, I know all of you, many of you have met that didn't know each other before and became friends. And I've met many of you in my travels and here in the Bay Area. So it's really a wonderful thing. And I think we want to always continue this. So again, I ask for patience since you're just
Don't forget the announcement too
what's the announcement?
about recording.
Oh yeah, thank you. See, Ranger is my external memory. Okay, so we always have to make this disclaimer that we are recording this and we do put it on our Matri Satsang West YouTube channel. And devotees of Ma look at it, but I think it's people only drawn to Ma look at it. It's not a big public thing. So if you do participate, you will be recorded, but don't let that dampen your enthusiasm to share in the sharing time and to speak up, okay? Because we're among friends, we're among devotees. Okay, so what we want to do now is introduce every person who is here. And since we have so many people, let's just briefly say our name and where we're from. So to begin with, if we haven't been here before, my name is Mangalananda, and I received Diksha from Ma in 1973, and I traveled with her in 73, 74, and I've been living in her lineage ever since with some of her great disciples. And I'm an appointed Acharya. That just means someone who teaches the lineage teachings of the ashram of Ma Sharanam Ashram in India. And this is my wonderful wife, Glory Jyoti. And our co-host is the author of Mother of Bliss and the editor of the wonderful 2 new volumes, Gospel of Sri Anandamayi Ma, Pragya Hallstrom in Boston. Please say hello.
Jema, everyone. So good to see you. I love seeing all your faces. And yeah, I live in Amherst, Massachusetts. And um, the old days, pre-COVID, we had satsang at our house for a number of years and developed a beautiful community. But since COVID, our community has expanded to include all of you all over the country and the world. So it's beautiful to be here with you today. Jema.
Same, and Pragya will be reading from her book later on. Okay, and then our technical co-host and ever-ready Sevak and wonderful friend is Renu. So why don't you introduce yourself, and then Renu will call people's names. And when that comes, just unmute yourself in the bottom left of the screen, click unmute and say hello, and then then remute so we don't have all this echo going on, okay? Okay, Renu?
Okay, Jama, welcome everyone. And I'm just gonna go down the participant list. I'm in Fremont, California, near Mangalananda Ji and Gloria G. Okay, so next we have Janet Rubinson.
Hi, this is Dave and Janet Rubinson. We're from Lake Worth, Florida. And just J-Ma, everyone.
Good to see you guys. We didn't see Janet, but we have faith that she's there.
She's there.
She'll be along in a minute.
Okay.
Jama, welcome. Dave.
It's
and
so wonderful to see the same faces every month, the people we know so well, and it's really that's an important thing.
Yes. Okay. Next we have Andrea.
Andrea, you have to unmute. I don't think we're hearing you. Okay, well, Andrea, welcome. Jay Ma.
Jama, welcome, Andrea. Next we have Blake.
Hello, I'm Blake from Dublin, California. Jema.
Hey, Ma, Blake.
Always good to see you, Blake.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Jama, welcome. Next we have Carlos Estrella.
Hey Ma, this is Carlos from Florida. Good to see you all.
Jay Ma Carlos, good to see you too.
Jama, welcome. Next we have Katya.
Jema, this is Katia from Portugal. Jema.
Jay Ma.
Hey, Ma, Katja.
Jema.
Jama, welcome. Next we have, let's see here. David and Linda.
Yes, we are David and Linda Herring from Virginia, and we will be at the event, the Ma event, this summer in July.
It looks like it's muted.
Is it?
Okay. David and Linda, good to see you. I don't think you've missed a single Matthew
Hey, Ma.
Satsang all this time. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
We're coming to Yogaville.
We're coming to Yogaville this
Oh,
summer.
good. Yeah,
yay.
I'll be at Yogaville on the July 4th weekend doing kirtan and some classes about Ma's teachings. Good, wonderful.
We'll be there.
Great. See, this is what I mean. Now we can meet in person. We have
Yeah.
a person till now. Good.
Right.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Great. Good to see you both. And next we have Devashish.
Devashish, you have to unmute. Bottom left.
Well, David Slyer can go too because he's already unmuted.
I already said hi,
Okay.
so J-Ma.
Hey, Ma.
Okay.
You're in
All
San
right, thank
Diego,
you.
right?
All right.
You're in San Diego?
Yes.
Very good, David. Welcome.
All right.
Okay, next we'll have Dr. Martha Libster.
Hi, everyone. I'm Martha. This is Harold and Roland. We're in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin.
Good to see all three of you. Jay Ma.
Ma.
Jama, welcome. Next we have Drav Johnny.
This is Digesh. I'm from Newcastle, which is in northeast of England. So good to see you all.
Very good.
Jay Ma.
Welcome. We're happy to have you. Very good. Jay Ma.
Jama, welcome. Next, we have Frank and Denise.
Hello, this is Frank and Denise coming from Hermiston, Oregon. Jema.
Welcome, welcome. Hope you're staying warm from those ice storms up there.
Oh, it's
And
cold.
I think it's Frank's birthday.
Oh, happy
Oh,
birthday.
happy birthday, Frank.
Let's sing our song.
Thank you, guys.
And a beautiful doggy there I saw too. Okay, next we have Helen Moon.
Jema from Salt Spring Island, BC. Happy to be here.
Very good, Helen.
Jay Ma.
Always happy to see you, Jay Ma.
Jayma, welcome. Next we have Saraswati or Julia, or no, Shama, I guess, or Julia.
Hello, I'm in Ontario, Canada. Minus 22 these Celsius. We're Celsius here in Canada. And it's been cold, but there is a magic in the snow season. I'm totally enthralled with it. Jai Ma, everyone.
Jay Ma. I like it for the first day or two, and it gets really tiresome. Good to see you, Sean.
Jayma, welcome. Next, we have Kathleen Kirchner.
Kathleen from New Jersey. Jay Ma, happy to be here.
Jay Ma, Kathleen, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Jayma. And next we have Laura Murillo.
Yes, Jayma. I'm Laura. I'm out of San Diego, California. I'm so happy to be here. I heard about this through buying after purchasing like Acharya's book. So I'm just so happy to find a community, Jayma.
And we're very happy to see your smiling face, Laura. Beautiful.
Jayma.
Jayma.
Wonderful.
Jayma, welcome, Laura. And then next we
Yeah,
have
that was like that. If I can say real quick, that was like just a burning passion in my heart. I was living in India and traveling for the ashram. So many people, had these experiences with mine. They had no place to go and nowhere to turn, for more teaching and for community. And so it's really important to have it. I'm really glad that this June has worked out this way, so we can have this community. Very good.
Yeah, I had the blessing of being in Brindavan's ashram this February.
Wonderful.
Yes, and I don't know. I wanted to ask you if you know Niranjani.
Niranjani, I don't know. I know the brahmachari and head of it. I'm so terrible with names. God.
Shamadan.
Shamalda, with the long white hair and beard.
Yeah.
Did you meet him?
No, I was there shortly. I was only like 2 days there. But I met Niranjani. She lives in the ashram in Brindavan. She lives kind of in the house behind the ashram. I don't know how long she's been there, but I think she's in her older age, maybe like 80s or something. So I still keep in touch with her. Hopefully, I'm planning a trip to India in June, hopefully.
Wow.
Because I'm from Canada, like I migrated to Canada, and Canada and India now has this problem with visas.
Yeah.
Not sure how the visa is gonna work, but hopefully, if I figure out my visa situation, I will be able to hopefully go visit her in June again. That's my wish.
Good. It's a wonderful ashram. That's where I received Diksha from Ma, right behind the
Yes,
the temple. Yeah.
Yes, that's why I wanted to mention it to you, because I was there, and then later I found out about your book because I've been going through Amazon trying to like search for books for Ma. Then that's how I found you, and so I wanted to mention that. So yeah, it was a great blessing to be there.
Good. I'm glad you found your way here.
Thank you.
Jayma, welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And next we have Michael Ziv or Ziv. Can't always forget how to pronounce the last name.
It's Michael Ziv, and I'm in Sebastopol, California. Jayma.
Jayma, Michael. And we're doing, for those of you in the Bay Area, we're doing Kirtan next Sunday in Santa Rosa at the Center for Spiritual Living, that big, beautiful auditorium they have there.
Great. I'll be there.
Yeah, the whole band will be there, and my beautiful backup singing.
All right.
Good. See you Sunday.
See you Sunday.
Yeah, look forward to that. Okay.
We're stringing this out too long because I'm talking too much.
We have Naing or Naing. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that.
Hi, Nine calling in from New York. Jema.
Jema, welcome. Very much welcome.
Jema, welcome Naing. And next we have Patty Ayers.
Hi, I'm Patty and I'm in Colorado, USA.
Very good. Welcome. Jema.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jema, welcome Patty. Next we have Randy Jordan.
Ma, everyone. Great to see everyone.
Always good to see you.
Oh, from Great Barrington, Western Mass.
Very good. Jema.
Welcome Randy. Jema. Next we have Saraswati, Barbara.
Jema, everyone. So great to see you all. I am here in Buffalo, New York. Jema.
Jema Saraswati. Happy to have you back from India.
Jema, welcome. Next we have Yana and Sarah. Big aloha to them.
Aloha, Jema, from Yana and Sarah in Hilo, Hawaii.
Very good to see you both. See, another example, I was saying people who didn't know each other before who are now good friends. That's good.
Yeah.
It's not snowing there, no doubt.
Aloha, Jema, welcome. And next we have Arpita and Robert.
Hello, Arpita and Robert, and we live in Delray Beach, Florida. Jai Ma.
Jema, good to see you.
Thank you.
Jema, welcome.
Quite the day. Quite the day. Very interesting. Okay. Signing off.
Jema.
Okay, I think that's it. If I've forgotten anybody. Okay.
Yeah, hi, this is Devashish from Chicago. Sorry, I couldn't get my phone to be working. Jai Ma.
Jema Devashish. Very great to see you. Very good. Jema.
Thank you.
Jema, welcome.
Okay,
Okay,
excellent.
I think that's it.
So as we always do, we start with reading Ma's words of her assurance that she's with us already. Like I say, from her side, we see, and the more we kind of experience it, the more faith we have that Ma is just right there, right behind our own consciousness at all times, witnessing everything. And so our job is to tune into her so we can be with her all the time. So here's Ma's words. I am ever with each one of you, wherever you happen to be. But your vision is tied down to worldly matters and you have little time to direct your eyes to this body in your thoughts and actions. What can I do? But know it for certain that whatever you do in thought and deed, whether you are near or in distant lands, never escapes my loving attention. Just as at a flash of torchlight, excuse me, your faces gleam forth in their bold outlines. All your facial expressions appear in my mind when you meditate on me or talk about me or sit down to pray to me. Shema is seeing this right now. She says, solely for you is indeed everything this body says or does, its actions, its movements, its going hither and thither. Whatever is done for your sake for this body at any time, it is you who cause it to happen. So she responds to our needs and our desires to come closer to God. And this is again Ma's own words, which is speaking third person. In all your activities, in your sadhana, Ma is with you. With perfect repose, sit still, thinking. In the midst of emptiness, Ma is with me. This will give you ananda, bliss. Whether you meditate quietly or laying down, always feel Ma is with me at every single moment. This should be throughout the day. We have to keep reminding ourselves of this. She says the Atma, the self of this body, is the Atma of all. It cannot be that anyone anywhere is not Ma's very own. For one who knows me, I am one with him. For one who wants to know me, I am very near to him. For one who does not know me, I am a beggar before him. She wants us to come to her. You ask me if I love you? You may or may not be able to be without me, but I simply cannot do without any of you. I always like the lesson the best. Anyone calling out for God from any land, in any language, and in any age, remember their cries reach this heart like waves crashing onto the shore. I was at the ocean recently. I was watching the waves. I was thinking of that Maz. Our 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 prayers and our needs are crashing on the Maz shore. It's okay. So we're going to do a lot of intellectual stuff, reading and hearing and listening, but let's tune into Ma from our heart through invocation of music. So we always start with this one kirtan, which we wrote for our ashram in India, which is called Ma Sharanam Ashram. It's simply Om Ma Sharanam. Sharanam is a place of refuge, a place of peace, of strength, of solace. So Ma is that Om Ma Sharanam. We take refuge in you.
Sound.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Shri Shri Anandamayi Ma ki jai. Om Ma Sharanam. 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 Anandamayi Ma, 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 Anandamayi Ma. Anandamayi Ma, 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 Anandamayi Ma. Anandamayi Ma, Anandamayi Ma, Anandamayi Ma, Anandamayi Ma. Om Ma Sharanam, 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 Om Ma Sharanam. Om Ma Sharanam, Om Ma Sharanam. Sharanam Om
Om Sharanam Om
Om Sharanam Om
Om Sharanam
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 Together one last time, longing for mom. Om Sharanam Om Sharanam Om Sharanam Om Let's just sit and feel Ma's presence with us now as we tune into her words. So I always like to read people's reactions to Ma and some of their experiences with Ma, so we can just get a living feeling of what it was like to be with her, which really can't be described. It can't be described, but we can remember it. This is a book called, or a chapter called "My Puzzles on Ma" by a book authored by Dr. Prafulla Chandra Dutta. Okay, and he says, in my youth, a feeling of being overpowered by worldly hankerings pained me much. I felt I was paralyzed by the toxicity of attachments. I kept running after sadhus and sannyasis here and there with the hope of some supernatural help to throw off that condition. Right there, you hit the state of grace, because most people just immerse in worldly things and don't know any better. So the fact that he saw that this was a problem and he wanted to have a spiritual consciousness. But that power which I could wipe by many beautiful sermons were heard, but that power by which I could wipe off my pain was not felt anymore. Perchance I heard the name of Ma Anandamayi from a relative. The name, only the name, attracted me very much, and a new feeling came within that her feet would be my refuge. In the month of January 1948, in a Gita Jayanti ceremony at South Calcutta, I saw Ma for the first time. And without going into details, I may say she gazed at me though I was seated at the remotest corner of a big pandal. I tried to open myself to a wave of purity coming from Ma. I was toned up and I felt that I was above that paralyzing toxicity. A feeling of bliss, quiet, purity, and strength filled my mind, which surrounded me for several months. I just want to add here, I was really interested. I've talked to so many devotees, and I've had my own experience when I first came to Ma. Ma always made that first meeting very special. She knew, she knew, like he said, he was in a crowd with so many people and she just looked at him. And sometimes, she'd be looking at several people at once and they'd all think she's only looking at them. But she always made a point of really tuning into people the first time. Like I was there one time in Kanpur, it was afternoon and Ma had come out for darshan. We had lunch and people were just kind of sitting around. And a friend of mine who had been living in an ashram with me in America came for the first time. And we were sitting and we said, oh, we just missed Ma. She went in earlier and she won't come out till this afternoon for darshan. And she never came out by herself. And so we're sitting there and suddenly Ma, without an attendant, walked out by herself and just started walking around this tent. And I said, go see her. She's good for you, So he was able to go and put her feet and talk to her. And she asked about him. Then she walked in, but she always knew, she always made a point of making that first contact so beautifully. And it's true, when she looked in her eyes, heaven was there and there was nothing. She looked right at your soul. The author continues. The question naturally maddened me. Who is this Ma, with such a power of graceful gaze, of purifying essence, with such a healing smile? I began to read books on Ma, but her life history puzzled me much. The scientific mind always searches for a link between cause and effect, but the cause behind this Ma Anandamayi, an incarnation of eternal bliss, could not be discovered. How did Nirmala become Ma of the whole world? That was her original name, Nirmala Sundari. History is silent about that. No evolutionary process from Nirmal to Ma could be traced. Everything was formulated from the beginning of her life. So I was trying to discover a scientific formula for explaining Ma, a mysterious phenomena in the world. Good luck with that. I found that all avatars have a phase of ignorance in their life. God, in the form of an avatar, comes down to ignorance, as if he covers himself with a veil of darkness and gradually unveils a way to knowledge and a light for people to follow. That's the mission of an avatar is fulfilled. That's actually very nicely put. If the avatar comes and in a sense veils themselves, they do sadhana and they show the way to do the sadhana for other people. The mom is different. She literally just opened her eyes at birth and she was in that state. But Ma had no such phase of ignorance. She has come without that veil, like Sri Krishna and Christ, who also are not regarded as avatars, but as ever unveiled forms of that one. The other thing that puzzled me is the sportive divine play of khayal, explained as a spiritual wind by some Western observers. See, Ma used this term khayal. In Hindi, it just means a whim or a little slight urge, but she used it, as we talked about before, Ma's used it in a special way because she had no desires, no mind, no sense of separateness from the unity of everything, from God, from the unity of everyone. So when she said, there's a khayal that this body should go to Delhi, it meant like it was the divine will willing her to go to Delhi, and she moved with that. And if people stood in the way, bad things would happen to them. They would just be out of tune and things would go wrong. So people learned to go in the flow of Ma's khayal, but she used that word in a very special and beautiful way. What is this khayal? Is it the divine will? Willingness is relative to unwillingness. And thus occurs in the field of ego, but a child's throwing of hands and feet this way and that way is not guiding by willingness or unwillingness. It is a spontaneous expression of the joyous heart. So he goes on about khayal. On one occasion, so he does. So I'm kind of editing this a little bit. Okay, let me go back a little bit. Okay, this formula was supported by evidences from Ma's life. Bhayaji, who was a very early devotee of Ma, who we look upon as a perfect devotee. Bhayaji once asked Ma one day, what miracle would happen if a burning tika, preparation of coal powder, was kept under your feet? A few days later, the khayal in her answered, Ma herself kept a burning tika on one of her feet. What happened? Any miracle? No. Did Ma meditate to endure that pain? No. Did Ma apply some yogic process to make the burning flesh senseless? No. Ma herself described from the plane of divine spectator. I saw that the tika first burned the hair on the spot, then the skin, then some flesh. And after finishing its work, it became extinct naturally. She just watched it happen. And of course, Baiji was just miserable that he made her do that. And, he inspired her to do that. Referring to another occasion when one of Ma's feet was severely hurt, one devotee asked Ma, did you not feel the pain? The answer was, yes, but just like your understanding of the pains of some other's body. Similar examples are many, and her words are innumerable, which suggest that she is a mere spectator of all that happens in the physical changes from childhood to old age, the stages of sadhana, the words that are uttered by her mouth come from her for people getting service to this body. And the khayal working in this world by healing people's internal pains, inspiring people to lead a pure life, elevating yogis to a higher plane, wiping out darkness and pessimism from injured minds, and so on. She is a spectator of the infinite khayal's play, not an enjoyer. After my first darshan of Ma, I read different diaries of Ma. I saw Ma from a distance whenever I got the opportunity, but I never sought any private interview. The first interview was arranged after 22 years on 26 February 1960 at Varanasi by the instigation and request of others. My heart laughed merrily when I thought how funny it was that his son needed an interview with his mother, and that also through others, when every corner of his mind was known to her. Didi Guru Priya, who was Ma's main attendant, according to her routine practice, began to introduce me to Ma. Does anybody know a son more than his mother? So this funny practice evoked a boundless laughter in me. Before speaking any word, therefore, I laughed for a while merrily, heartily, and very loudly. Mai also began laughing spontaneously, perfectly in tune with me. Very soon a doubt came in my mind. Was her laughter genuinely by feeling my mind? She stopped laughing immediately, and an impenetrable gravity covered her face. And the way you play the instrument, so you hear it, Ma said. On another occasion, I was standing in the queue for pranam. She was offering garlands to every devotee by her own hands. I thought, while standing in the queue, it was useless to have a material garland from Ma. I needed such a grace that could transform me totally. When my turn came, I finished my pranam. Someone forwarded a garland to me, to Ma, for offering to me, but she withdrew from offering that. Instead, she looked on me with compassion. That garland was offered to the next man in the queue, and she said, "As you play, so you hear." At Ranchi Ashram, late one night, when most of the visitors had left the ashram, my wife and I were trying to offer pranam to Ma in a small room on the roof. The room had two doors. At one, Dr. Priya Ranjan Ghosh was standing and listening to Ma's advices. At the other, I was waiting for the opportunity to pranam. Ma's Khyal was then absorbed on the arrangement of nursing an ailing devotee. Naturally, her face did not turn towards me. She was unconscious about her dress. A thought came to my mind. Her body should be properly covered because many visitors might come to see her. Promptly, Ma turned her face towards me, asked someone to cover her body immediately with the wrapper, and again became absorbed in talks. The trend of my thought changed soon. What a silly thought it is. Ma is among her children and all her own children. And how come me and you came with? Ma is among her children, and all are her children, be he a newcomer or an old devotee. How can a mother be so much conscious about her own children? I repented the foolish thought. In the meantime, Pushpadi brought a wrapper. Ma turned again to me and uttered, "No, it is not necessary now." So as you play on, experiences are many, all cannot be disclosed here. So it is true, Ma would just respond so much to your own thought. Like one time, a friend of mine we were sitting with Ma. He was curious, something was going on. I think it was a talk or something. And he didn't want to leave Ma for a moment, but he just had to go to the bathroom. So he was thinking, God, I can't wait any longer. So and mentally he turned to Ma, didn't make any move. He turned to Ma and said, "I'm sorry, Ma, I've got to go to the bathroom." And she looked at me and she went. So her heart was, her mind was, and I've told you several times how there were times in the Vrindavan ashram where Ma was, we were waiting for darshan in the evening and something had happened, somebody special would come where Ma was not, her health was not good. And so we get the word, there's no darshan tonight, and we'd be disappointed. And so several of us would go under Ma's window in her room. She had a second-story room. And we'd sit there and without any noise, we silently just say, "Oh Ma, oh Ma, oh Ma," mentally. And it happened several times. Every time Ma would come out and see who was calling her, and she would pranam to us and give us darshan and go back in. So she responded so much to people's hearts and minds. When I first came to Ma, I became interested in those who had dedicated themselves at her feet. Some were sannyasis, some were householders, some wore tulsi beads around their necks, some wore rudraksha, in other words, Vaishnavas, Shaivas, Shaktas. In one man's hand, I saw a trishul, in another a danda and a begging bowl. And some had nothing at all. One was absorbed in reciting Sanskrit hymns, another was an aspirant on the path of inquiry, a third melting away in deep emotion with tears of divine love glistening in his eyes. I discovered that one person was a sannyasi of the Tirtha line. His story was simply that one day Ma had told him to take sannyas from a certain guru of that line. Another was a sannyasi of the Saraswati line, a third of the Giri, a fourth of the Puri. One man was a Vaishnava, another a Shakta, yet another a Shaivite. All said, Ma is guiding me by this particular path. After having met Ma, some young men and ladies have left their houses to live the lives of ashramites. On the other hand, Ma had advised some other young people who wanted to live in the ashram to get married. She told them, "Remember, wherever you may be, this little child will always be with you." And it is true, just bringing back memories. what it was like whenever Ma would come to a place. So the whole ashram would be full of devotees. And it is true, the crowd was so varied. There were people from every kind of tradition and people from foreign countries. We met some wonderful devotees from France and from England and from Israel. And there weren't that many foreigners, though. We were the minority, but there were some people from every possible sect of Sanatana Dharma, and all Ma was leading them in their own particular ways. There wasn't one way for all. She had brought everybody through their own path. It was beautiful to see. In the center of all this diversity stands that Kayal, directing the currents of all these variegated streams. I heard at the Ranchi ashram spontaneous kale pouring through Ma's mouth. Quote, there are an infinite number of paths, countless ways of advancement, and countless states of achievements. That's gatis and sthitis. Are the sthitis also innumerable? A definite reply came from Ma. Certainly, but beyond that, there is a condition where there is neither gati nor sthiti, nor question of gati or sthiti. Unquote. How beautifully Ma declares this. There are already many paths. What is the need of a new one? There's so many toys which he had played in so many ways. In a satsang at Ranchi ashram, I heard a devotee ask, Ma, a Western scientist says that God is nothing but a creation of abnormal minds. On the other hand, a famous Western philosopher declares that the existence of God is so real that he can be touched with fingers. Which one is correct, Ma? The reply was, this body says both are correct. Everyone is staying at a particular state, and revelations of truth are relative to those states. I would always say everything is true according to what state you're in. So one person speaks from a different viewpoint, it's also true. So she really brought everybody together in this wide view. This body sees different stratifications. Everyone is seated at a particular position, this of a particular stratum. Whenever a question comes from anybody, this body can see from which position of which stratum the question comes, and the answer is uttered accordingly. Unquote. But what is the ultimate reality then? Maskayal replies, quote, by any approach of reason, you may reach an ultimate solution to every question. If it is a plane of relativity where you say this is real and this is unreal, but where there is the perfect solution, the purnahuti of relatives, the question of real or unreal does not exist. The question of relative or non-relative also is not there. And a satsang at Kishanpur ashram, that's in Dehradun, I heard the Kyal declaring spontaneously, Ma saying, know that only one is there. Two do not exist. Again, one is also non-existent because one is also relative. The question of one, two, or three is one more thing. That is what is said. Lord Buddha was asked, what does exist after nirvana? Is there something? The reply was no. Is that nothing? No. Is the condition intermediate between something and nothing? No. So he's going on about all these answers. I heard Ma saying, attend all satsangs. Wherever you find people discussing about God, attend that. Chanting his name and praying to him, join that congregation. Do not make any discrimination of sect. Widen your mind. Do not limit your guru or ishta. Your guru is the guru of the universe. The guru of everyone of the world is also your guru. So attend every satsang and pray to your guru. Say, my Lord, how beautiful are these manifestations of you. Make me realize that every form is yours. Isn't that beautiful? Is it not a supreme solution to the world by this chaos? Okay, so so from her different words, it has been clear that Ma is a spectator of consciousness of both unity and diversity simultaneously. Actually, she was always in perfect samadhi, the completest samadhan, which never breaks and which has been termed as sahaja samadhi by Bhayaji. That means eternal, the deepest nirvikalpa samadhi, but able to just walk and talk and relate without losing that infinite oneness. Ma's words indicate that the question of samadhi and bhutvan does not exist in her. Bhutvan is coming out of it. Thus, the eternal Kayal has established a strong foundation of the universal spiritual temple. So long as there an observer and the object of duality persists, Ma also said, as long as there is this duality between samandhan, samadhi, or not attained, when you have drishti, observer, and drishta, observed, It is not one yet. Ma replied through a letter she wrote to me once or dictated to me. It is that one, call it actor, action, or the result of all that. It is you, it is I, it is he, all are one. So I was again lost in puzzles and my formula lost its applicability. Readers, could you please help me to prepare a perfect formula for demarcating Ma? To me, it is impossible because we have heard Ma saying several times, Ma means Mai, all pervading, Atma. Ma is unlimited and cannot be delimited or defined. It is better to love Ma as our own Atma, the nearest and dearest of all. Isn't that wonderful? So this is his observation of Ma. I just want to do a quick word of Ma in her prompting to us. Someone asked Ma a question. Does the capacity to meditate come by practice in this life, or is it an aptitude acquired in former births? That's a good question. Ma replies, it may be the result of either of the two or both combined. Meditation should be practiced every day of one's life. Look, what is there in this world? Absolutely nothing that is lasting. Therefore, direct your longing towards the eternal. Pray that the work done through you, his instrument, may be pure. In every action, remember the divine. The purer your thinking, the finer will be your worth. In this world, you get a thing, and by tomorrow it may be gone. This is why your life should be spent in a spirit of service. Feel that the Lord is accepting services from you in whatever you do. If you desire peace, you must cherish the thought of him. So Ma tells us that over and over that the way to define the problem, we're in a state of disunity. We don't feel the unity of life. We don't feel the depth of our own soul. We're caught in our mind and our emotions and our desires. And she says the remedy to this is to remember God always, to try to say his name, repeat his name, because through remembering God, and to us we remember Ma, because to us the divine has come to us through Ma. So when we remember Ma, we pull ourselves out of that and we tune ourselves to the infinite greatness. We want the unity. Okay, so we want to have a reading from Pragya, but we've had so many words now. Let's do a little singing. So our dear sister Katia from Portugal, a little island off of Portugal, is going to sing a kirtan, lady sing a kirtan or a bhajan. So Katia, will you
Take it away.
Take it away, Katia.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You want to describe what you're going to sing?
Yes. I'm going to sing the Astuti, a prayer for Ma, for Jaya Ambe Jagadambe, the name for the creative power, Ambe, the mother of the world, Jagadambe. And Bhavani means the one who gives all things existence. Janani means she who gives birth. So it's very much dedicated to Ma, to the creative power of the mother. So Jayambe Jagadambe Jayambe Jagadambe Mata Bhavani Jayambe Mata Bhavani Jayambe Jayambe Jagadambe Jayambe Jagadambe Mata Bhavani Jayambe Mata Bhavani Jayambe Dukkha Vinashini Durge Jai Jai Kala Vinashini Jai Jai Kala Vinashini Kali Jai Jai Uma Rama Brahmani Jai Jai Radha Rukmani Sita Jai Jai Uma Rama Brahmani Jai Jai Radha Rukmani Sita Jai 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 Ambe Jagadambe Jai Ambe Jagadambe Jai Ambe Jagadambe Jai Ambe Jagadambe Mata Bhavani Jai Ambe 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 Om Shri Shri Anandamayi Mata Ki Jai
Thank you, Katya. That was absolutely beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Invocation, true invocation of mom.
Mhm.
Okay, so now we've heard a person's impressions of Ma and his take on Ma, and some of Ma's words. Now let's hear from Pragya, a reading from her new book, 2-volume. But why don't you just describe the book briefly and how it came about, Pragya, and then we'll hear from you, okay?
Jema. Yeah, so this book, which has 2 volumes, is based on tapes that were recorded between 1960 and 1981 by a young American man from Oklahoma who some of our friends here, right here in our Sangha today, knew and loved. There's Arpita waving. His name was Gadadhar, and his seva at the ashram was to collect the tapes that were, people were using to record Ma's talks. And that started in about 1960 when someone gave a tape recorder to the ashram. And there was one particular brahmacharini who was assigned the task of pushing the button to make the tape run as soon as Ma started talking. And I read that she herself was, in her journal, she wrote that they were all worried that Ma didn't really know this was going on, which is pretty funny to think about, that somehow they were kind of hiding the fact that they were recording Ma's talks. And at one point, she hadn't put it on, and Ma turned to her and said, "Don't you want to push the button now?" So Ma was well aware that these tapes were being recorded. And so we have, in this book, we have 48 of them. They're divided between the 2 volumes. This one was recorded, it's tape number 20, recorded at the Sanyam Saptaha in Vrindavan, November 1967. So Ma is speaking at some length at this point, and now she's about to tell a story. Once something happened. A person took this body to Deagar, and as was the habit of this body, she was always lying down. She uses this phrase lying down often in English, meaning she was in total absorption, samadhi. Pranapatul Babu and Balananda Brahmachari came to see this little child. Pranapatul Baba had brought Balananda Brahmachari. It has happened so many times in this way, but here this body is referring to an event happening on a particular day. This body stayed lying down all day and all night without any care. And nobody knew when this body would get up. This time, just after rising up, she could not utter a word. At that time, the first word that came from her lips was Om. All other words only followed this word. She would not speak to everyone. This body is telling you this on her own now. She has not heard this from someone else. That was a mantra. Nobody could clearly hear what was uttered. They were thinking, what is going on with Ma? What is the murmuring? When is it not possible for this body to get up? People would make this body stay seated. They would hear this body uttering something, but they could not make out what it was. That word was not uttered by this body. It was coming along with the breath. It was the sound created from the japa being done by the breath. Some would say, Ma is chanting Shiva, Om Shiva Om. But actually, it was not this body chanting it, nor was the word Shiva Om. It was the breath that was chanting Om. And with the sound of the breath, it was heard as Shiva Om. So this breath is always chanting Om. It never goes out or comes in without that word, but it has to be felt. The questioner says, Ajapa japa, silent, spontaneous repetition of the mantra. Shrima, yes, this is called ajapa japa. That is the japa that goes on without being chanted. This is done by the breath. This nitya japa, unceasing repetition of mantra, is going on all the time in everyone. Therefore, the japa that your guru has given to you is meant for introducing yourself to that nitya japa, for manifesting it. Therefore, chant that japa regularly and strictly. Chant it all the time. You should continue it as long as you are not enlightened about who you are and where you have come from. You should do it until you know yourself. One person takes himself to be a devotee, another to be a servant, still another to be part of that whole. Some would take as their aim to realize Ekam Brahma Dvitiya Nasti. God is one, there is no second. Whatever path a person adopts, he should proceed on that path alone, and he should take the support of whatever his guru has given him. It is for manifesting one's own self. So until that self is manifested, one should go on doing this japa. As long as we can spare time for eating, drinking, sleeping, and taking a shower, we must also spare some time for chanting japa. There's no doubt about it. And Ma laughs. And we shall think about not having time for japa only when we are unable to spare any time for these worldly routines. She laughs again and everyone joins her. That is why this body says that nitya japa should be observed without fail and at all costs. When the guru gives you a mantra, he does not tell you that you should repeat it for 10 hours. He knows your condition. He is aware of your difficulties. And so he gives you only a short mantra that you can chant easily daily. He gives you only that much as you can accomplish in whatever ashrama stage of life you are. When your guru gives you a mantra, he does so thinking that you are worthy of that. Therefore, there should be no excuse. And one should do this nitya japa without fail. You should keep on doing it until you achieve the state of mind required. Got the message? Ma chuckles and everyone laughs with her. When your guru tells you to chant a mantra for 3 hours, ask him how you should do it, whether walking or sitting. That is the most that you can do. This body does not give any instructions to anybody. She only requests. And there's laughter in the crowd when she says that. Whenever you are told to do Nitya Japa, it isn't at all time consuming, and you must devote at least 3 hours daily to chanting his name, doing japa, studying or meditating or attending satsang. But the main thing is that you should be thinking of him for at least 3 hours a day. Look, there are 24 hours in a day. Take 12 hours out of them for your routine work like eating, drinking, and sleeping. If you are unable to devote the rest of the 12 hours to him, you should devote 6 hours. In case you are unable to devote that much, remember him for at least 3 hours. You must try to accomplish it, either while walking or sitting or lying down. Whatever way you do it depends upon you. You may do this Bhagavat Smaranam, remembering God, either through studies or japa or meditation or attending satsang. It is good if you do it in one sitting for 3 hours together. This is a very good point. Ma laughs and others join in. Do one thing. If you don't have time, spare 3 hours on a holiday and devote them to sitting for japa. There's more laughter. On other days, complete the 3 hours in whatever way you think is feasible. Jai Ma.
Well, what are your thoughts about this reading?
Well, I love it so much that I read it at the UK satsang this morning early, and I liked it so much I wanted to read it again just to let it sink in. But well, first of all, there's 2 parts to it, it seems to me. In the first place, Ma is revealing her own state in the first part. She's talking about this, ajapa japa, the fact that the om, the pranava mantra om is happening on its own, both on the in breath and the out breath in Ma, which is something we can aspire to, but it's really, very, very unusual. So I love that in the first part, she's sort of revealing that about herself. And then the second part is so practical. I love how she sets out, well, you could do 12 hours or you could do 6. And if you can't do 6, you can do 3. And if you can't do 3, you can do it on a holiday. But the point is, you must devote this time. And the goal eventually is that we, can maybe perhaps aspire to ajapa japa. So I love how practical it is. How about you, Mangalanandaji?
Yeah, that's a good synopsis. We talked about before how Ma did several things in her life. She, during that six years of we call sadhana lila, where she just got the khyal to play like a sadhak, even though she was in a state of total realization. And 2 things happened. She went through all the stages that a normal sadhak would go through, all manifested into her in a quick time. And then all the different sadhanas known to man manifested through her. So we have these documents, like one is like Mother Reveals Herself. It's that thick book where she dictated, she talked, Baiji collected over the years of things Ma said about that time. But if you study that and listen to Ma's words, and in your book also, in the gospel book, Ma will say these incredible, profound, esoteric things about deep yogic processes in a very natural way. Oh yeah, this happened, blah, 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 blah. So we can really learn about these really deep esoteric practices by reading Ma's words and her experiences and how things happen to her spontaneously. But it'll happen to all sadhaks if we just keep persevering. Yeah, it's good. That was it's true. Ma was very practical, and she was strict. Boy, if you ask her for some advice, she would nail you. She would, okay, do this, and it would be a lot. I know that from experience. But in this, we see again how her main thing she emphasizes is the name of God, is mantra japa. And I told you before, this last thing she said to me when I was having my last private with her, when I realized I couldn't stay, I couldn't get my visa extended anymore, and I had to go back to America. I met with her and asked her about this and that, and then finally she looked at me real intent and she said, "Do japa all the time." I'm still working on that. So But that's the main thing she talked about. Just look for places when you can stop and say the name of God throughout the day. You know, learn how to do it when we're doing simple work. Learn how to do it when you're walking, when you're driving. You know, yeah, that's really important. If somebody asked, does mom mean 3 hours at a time? We can't say. We have Ma gave very specific directions for each person. She did say in this reading, she said it's good if you can do it all at one time, sit and just sit for 3 hours. But she also said it doesn't necessarily have to be just sitting doing japa. She said it can be studying holy books, attending satsang, but remember God for that time. Try to remember God for that time. And of course, she said try to remember God all the time. But I found in doing japa throughout the day, if you just say, okay, I'm gonna do japa all the time, yeah, good luck with that. You know, we get so distracted. But I find if you break it up, like I'll be I do it when I'm driving a lot. I go, okay, I'm looking ahead. I go from here to that bridge. I'm gonna make sure I'm saying my mantra the whole time. Then I go a little far, okay, from here to that next bridge. I was one time rototilling in a garden with this big thing. I was thinking, okay, for this one row, or I'm mowing a tractor sometimes. On this one row, I'm gonna do the jump to the end of the row. Okay, then you get back. Okay, now I'm gonna go to the jump in this row. You break up the day like that and try to just keep the mantra going in smaller time periods. And it's more practical. It's better. But we just we do work it out the way our lifestyle dictates and the way our mind and our strength dictates. You know, so it's not. Ma didn't have hard and fast rules for everybody. She said, she did say at least 15 minutes. We had this moan period. She said, at least remember God at 15 minutes at a set time every day. That was the one thing she said. From there, it will go more. But if you came to her for asking advice for sadhana, she would give you really strict rules. Any other thoughts, Pragya, about that?
No, I think that towards the end of the reading, she was also including satsang, spiritual reading, all of these other things that could make up your 3 hours. But it seemed as though her preference was for us to do it at a single sitting, if possible. But then, of course, she was being flexible and knowing everyone's lifestyle is different. So I think we can start somewhere, you know, with some kind of goal. I'm going to do it for an hour today, and see if we can create a regular time for japa, and then of course adding as we're walking or whatever else we're doing during the day.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And that's what she's emphasizing. Also, an important thing in spiritual life is it can't be like free flow. Kind of the new age way is like, you know, oh, I just wander through the mountains and whatever happens, you know. But real spiritual life isn't like that. Well, in fact, in the gospel, she keeps saying a disciplined life, you know, you have to have a disciplined life to make spiritual progress. So it is good to make these goals for ourselves. Let's say I will do it. Like we have a time when we get up from sleep. It's time to meditate. That's what we do, you know. So you set that every day. You set it. You try to reach a goal. Set a difficult goal for yourself. I will sit for this much time. I will do this much japa. I will do this, and by setting our will in that direction, then it becomes very, very clear. The path becomes clear. If it's just, you know, kind of free form, whatever happens one day, it may happen the next day. You don't get this regularity. And the effect is cumulative. It grows every day. It's like an upward going spiral. And then when there's a break, Ma said many times, let your spiritual practice be like a well-strung garland. There's no gaps where you see the string, because she says if there's any gap and you see the string, the mind will immediately just plummet down it to the lowest possible level. It's the nature of the human mind. So we do have to have a very well-strung garland of spiritual practice. Yeah. Did Arpita have a question or a comment? Just your hand.
Arpita, do you have a question
or an observation?
Sorry about that. Well, a couple of things. One thing is I remember like when I was leaving India, I think the last place I was when I went the first time was in Vrindavan. And when I got on the plane going back to the United States, to Oklahoma, actually, I heard there was so much chanting going on there, you know, the Hare Krishna mantra. And I heard like the engine of the plane was doing the mantra. I thought I was going insane actually, but I've never had that experience before, nor have I had it afterwards. But I think because in that ashram, they chant 24 hours a day. So even when you're sleeping, it's subliminally your subconscious is hearing and absorbing that mantra. And so it just was amazing. But I mean, it stopped eventually, but that that consistency informed that hearing that. And I thought, oh my gosh, the plane is is doing the mantra and chanting. So it's really strange. But also another couple of things is like, I know with myself, I find it easier to do a mantra or the mantra when I wake up in the morning. It's like if I start my day I'm lying in bed, I'm still in bed, open my eyes, and then that's probably most of the time, the first thing that comes to my mind is to do the mantra. And then the last thing I was thinking of is like Prajna, you were saying, how she was saying to think of God in different ways, like in different venues, for example. So, and then I remember her saying that the breath is also a form of God. So if you focus your attention on the breath, that's also, because I mean, for most of us to think about God, like what does that mean? Like what does God look like? What does God sound like? It's sort of a very abstract concept, really. I mean, unless you're like a Christian and you believe in Christ and you picture Jesus, which I was never raised with. So I don't think of that. But so the breath is also, or the sound. So even if you're like focusing on the breath, I remember she said that in several places, that the breath is a manifestation or is God. So that kind of more liberal interpretation of thinking of God can also be including the breath, the sound, which is, I guess, the mantra. Because to think about God, like visually, for me, it's like an impossibility because I don't have, other than Ma, I don't have that in my head or so it's a little challenging, I guess, for me in that way to visualize God.
Yeah, well, one time we mentioned before, one time somebody asked Ma, they said, you tell us to think of God all the time, but then you tell us in the next breath that God is beyond the mind and beyond the senses. And so how it can't be thought about. So what are we supposed to do? It was a very good question. And remember, Ma laughed and said, it's true, both are true. She said, God is beyond the mind, God is beyond the senses. God can't be comprehended. But she said, God has put two great gateways to himself, herself, itself, mantra and avatar. Mantra is a name of God we can use in many different traditions. Every tradition has a name of God, whether it's Islam or Christianity or Buddhism or anything. They always have names of God. The name and the avatar, the incarnation. So we can, if we feel inclined, if we're inclined to an avatar like Ram or Krishna or Ma, or even Jesus, as you say, or Buddha, we can see the whole, Virgin Mary. We can find the embodiment of all that infinite consciousness within that avatar and think of them. And like when we think of, like I know from my experience, when we think of Ma, we're thinking of the infinite. The mind goes to the infinite from there. So yeah, you can't think of God. Same thing, but also Ma was very liberal in different ways. She told, I saw her give people different ways of meditation. Somebody just asked a question in the text, did Ma always say japa for meditation? She yeah, I would say 85% of the time, yes. Other times she would give different meditations and different kriyas to people too that were specifically for them. But usually she would say, sit and recite the name of God for a month or whatever month you use with the breath, as you say, because the breath was a manifestation of the divine. And joining it with the breath vibrates the mantra and the breath. It's really effective, and it helps you remember it more too, because we're always breathing. So you just watch your breath and say the mantra with that. Yeah.
Actually, though, Mangalananda, Buddhists do not believe in God, so there is no name for God because they don't, like when they asked Buddha, "What are you?" Like they asked Ma, "What are you?" The Buddha said, "I am awake," and so he never referred to himself as the eternal, and no Buddhist believes in. I mean, Buddhists don't believe in God, so there's no name.
Well, yeah, he didn't get into dogma. You know, he didn't say there wasn't God, but he didn't get into dogma. I know the Theravada sometimes say Buddho, just as a concept of practice.
Yeah.
And of course, the Tibetan school has lots of mantras because it's right from Tantra and from Indian Tantra. So they have lots of mantras. But it is true. Again, you know, what is God? You know, how we can't have these in real bhakti yoga. They have no dogma of defining God because you can't. It has to be experiential. And just as the Buddha practices to enter that state of nirvana, you know, in real bhakti yoga, we have practices to experience God. So we don't have a dogma that you have to believe God is this and not that, or this, not this and that. You do practices to try to reveal what's real. You know, and then we know by experience if there's a God in them.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. Sure. At this point, let's open the floor
Mangalanandaji, Julia has her hand raised.
Okay.
Shama.
Shama.
I'm thinking of something that Sri Ramakrishna referred to, and that was, do you think of God with form or without form? And Prajnath's reading mentioned Ma saying, we want to be with the eternal, not with something that binds us to time and space. And I love what Arpita said first thing in the morning to go into our japa, and perhaps last thing at night too. But I know that it is the tradition, the time which I'm looking at right now, the transition time of day to night, that transition time of night to morning is a traditional time of sitting and being in meditation. And may I also speak about the transition of aging into death and what that means for us all. Some of us in the satsang are older and probably considering this, it's our biggest transition. I want to put out an invitation to you all. My dharma has been to share with people the wonder of Ayurveda. And Ma came in the presence of Swami Bhaskarananda to this retreat. I am seeking help from someone who knows very well the wonders of social media, because I want to reach out and find the right people to continue on the property so that the property is used for spiritual purposes and for wellness. So I'm putting this out to you all, and anyone who may know of someone who is skilled. Many people are skilled, but I am not with social media. I will leave my contact information on the chat. Thank you.
I can say I've been once or twice to Sebastiana Cove, where you had the retreat in Florida. It is a
Yes.
place. Yeah.
You were in the Hermitage cabin.
Yeah, I'll put it on my social media too, see, because we want someone a younger person to carry on that tradition of that property. Understand? Okay.
Yeah.
Good, we'll
Thank
keep
you.
going.
Well, I want someone to help me market, to reach out to like-minded souls online, because that is how we're in touch nowadays.
Okay, well, put your contact info in the text, and if anyone grabs it, that's it.
Thank
Good.
you.
But this time we're kind of talking anyway. Any other discussion people would like to have before we go on to the next thing? Let's go open the floor now. Anything? Of course, let's keep it on the subject of Anandamayi Ma and her practical teachings and how that it relates to our life. We don't want to talk about everything, but let's talk about Ma. That's what we're here to talk about. But if anybody has anything like to share or ask or anything, I see we have two people.
Looks like
raised-
Pragya has her hand raised.
Pragya?
And
Yeah, I had an artificial hand and my real hand. So I have sort of a happy and exciting announcement to make on behalf of Mangalananda, myself, and Janet, and a couple of other people, which is that there's been this seed planted for quite some time, actually since Swami Guru Sharan came to the East Coast to Boston 10 years ago. I remember us planting some mantras on a piece of property in hopes that we could have an ashram devoted to Ma on the East Coast in New England. And so we started a nonprofit called the Sri Anandamayi Ma Ashram and Temple. And it's the beginning of something. And we wanted to tell you about it. Right now it's kind of in its infancy, but right now there's no ashram devoted to Ma in the United States except for on the Big Island of Hawaii. And so we're just beginning with a board. We have a board, we have a nonprofit. Soon we'll have a website, and we can start thinking about looking at property and having a place where we can all gather for retreat. Some people will be residents, and the rest of us will come and go as we can for courses and Sanyam Saptas and whatever. So we just wanted to share that with you. We've been kind of sitting on it as a little excited vibration for some time, but yeah, so thank you for your prayers and helping us expand into manifestation.
Good. Okay, that news is broken. So yeah, at the moment it's the board is Pragya and Jen and myself and our devotee from France who's kind of helping us. And we'll see.
And my husband Ted.
Oh, and Ted, of course, Ted, yeah. And it's very in formational stage right now. So we'll see. But if anybody just has any ideas and want to be an angel to help make this manifest or whatever, it'll move forward according to Ma's Cal. Okay. Two other people that raise hands. Raina, who's next?
Laura.
Laura?
Yeah, Julia, you can go ahead. I think she had her hands before.
I think she just forgot to lower hers from.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't lower it.
Oh, okay.
Please.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say I'm so excited to hear those news about Mass Ashram here in US. I think this is I don't have words to explain. I am speechless about the news. I know it's nothing formal and it's just the beginning of something, right? It's just seed planted. I want to say I do have some contacts on WhatsApp. I know you probably do as well, of the person that runs the ashram in Delhi or something. So maybe we can have someone give us some, direction or something. If you need that help, I'm more than happy to make contact with them. I was able to also go to Kankal, so I have some contacts from there as well. So if you need any help with contacting people or even time or effort with social media or anything like that, just let me know. And any small amount that I can help, I'll be more than happy to.
That's very good. I think that's why we wanted to make the announcement, just see how this will move along according to Ma's will. Please put your contact info in the chat, and Rainu, why don't you pass it on to us later? We can give it to Pragya.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived in one of Ma's ashrams in India for 12 years, and I have a lot of contacts in different ashrams. And
yeah.
But that's very nice offer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else people want to discuss? I'm not just only about this. Just anything you want to share or questions or had Ma come into your life in which way? Just we have a few minutes. Let's talk a little bit. Anybody? No hands raised. Okay. Well, let's we always like to go to our next thing. Ma gives her darshan through her photos these days, and so many people have had experiences of Ma just through the living photos, through the living look in her eyes. Like here, you just look in her eyes, she's definitely right there. And so we'll do darshan of Ma through photos, and usually we sing a Ma kirtan, but this time I'm going to sing a Sikh Shabad from the Guru Granth Sahib, because they sing their scripture. It's very beautiful, and this is by the fifth Guru, Guru Arjan. And as we watch, so just kind of think of the words as you're watching, having darshan of Ma's photo. It says, "Esi kirpa mohe karo." It says, "Please grant me your grace." That's what we're asking, just over and over. Please grant me your grace, Ma. And it says, "May my forehead always be on the feet of the saints. May my eyes behold your blessed darshan. And my body here means like your individual feeling of the ego, fall as dust at the feet of the saints." Isn't that beautiful? And then it says exactly what we should pray to God. It says, "May the word of the Guru's Shabad, the Guru's instruction, dwell within my heart, and may the Lord's name be enshrined in my mind. Drive out the 5 thieves, let all my doubts burn like incense." And it says, "You are Nanak's God, the great giver, in the company of the saints emancipate me." So it's not in Hindi, this is Gurumukhi, which is kind of an ancient Punjabi language, but the actual sound of the language has its own sound current. So, okay, so Rainier, I'm doing the right sound now. Let's see, I gotta go share screen. Sorry, no technical difficulties here. Using slideshow. There it is. I got it. Okay, I think we got it. So as you're looking at Ma, just think of this. We're asking for her mercy. Aisi kirpa mohe karo, aisi kirpa mohe karo, aisi kirpa mohe karo, aisi kirpa mohe karo, aisi kirpa sikirpa mohe karo. Sasikara pancha nivarodhako. Sasikara pancha nivarodhako. Sagala bharama homa jaro. Sagala bharama homa jaro. Aisi kirpa mohe karo. Aisi kirpa mohe karo. Aisi kirpa mohe karo. Aisi kirpa mohe karo. जो तुम करो सो ही भला माना. जो तुम करो सो ही भला माना. भावन दुविधा दूर करो. भावन दुविधा दूर करो. ऐसी कृपा मोहे करो. ऐसी कृपा मोहे करो. ऐसी कृपा मोहे करो. ऐसी कृपा मोहे करो. संत चरना हमारो माता. संत चरना हमारो माता. नैन दरस थन दूर करो. नैन दरस थन दूर करो. नानक के प्रभु तुम ही दाते. 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 संत संगले मोहे उद्धरो. संत संगले मोहे उद्धरो. संत संगले मोहे उद्धरो. संत संगले मोहे उद्धरो. So let's just sit quietly for a few minutes and feel Ma's presence in whatever way we do. We can sit quietly and say her mantra, Om Ma, with our breath, our own mantra we use, or just watch the breath, but just feel Ma's presence with us now for this study and these words and this chanting. So thank you all for coming to this satsang. Like I said, I don't know how many people are from the Bay Area, but we're doing Kirtan next Sunday at the big auditorium in Santa Rosa.
Now,
4 o'clock, Center for Spiritual Living. Yeah. And people are interested more and more in Ma's teachings. I was invited last few years, and I just returned from the Bahamas from Shivananda Retreat Center there, where we did Kirtan and I taught classes on Ma's teachings. And the last night they had me just talk on Ma's life and teachings. It was really very well received. And I've been invited to go to Yoderville and Virginia and on the weekend of July 4th weekend. I think it's like the 5th through the 8th or something. If people are interested in that, we'll be talking about Ma's teachings and giving classes and doing Kirtan and stuff. So we'll keep you informed about all that. Anything else? Any other announcements? We'll see how
No,
Ma's
it's
ashram
just
works
such a
out.
pleasure to be here and have everybody here.
Really and truly.
Thank
Yeah.
you for coming.
Yeah.
Amen.
We're here every third Sunday. And if people want to turn on the sound, unmute and say hello, we can. Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Jai Ma.
Thank you, thank
Jai
you.
Ma.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom, we did it. I did it.
Jai Ma.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
So good to see everyone.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
Thank you for the
Right.
wonderful kirtans. Yeah.
Mm.
And thank you, Raina, for always hosting and doing a great job on that.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. Also, there's another Bay Area Kirtan event the night before too.
Oh yeah, David Estes.
David Estes at Padma Studio for those of us who are local.
Good. Okay, everybody. Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
Bye.
Namaste.